What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and people have been asking me for a Quinton Simon update, but unfortunately, there are no real updates in this case. And listen, I am just as frustrated as you all. I can tell you that, I don't necessarily get emotionally invested in every single story I cover because I have covered a lot, but every now and then I come across a story or a case that I really put my heart into, and the Quinton Simon case was definitely one of those cases, and is still one of those cases, but unfortunately we don't have any real new information coming in. Now, for a couple of weeks there, things were spiraling completely out of control outside of Quinton's house. I know everyone has different feelings about that, but regardless, if you agreed with it or you did not agree with it, I think we all basically realized that it was going to come to a violent head. Like, this was not going to end nicely or peacefully, that someone was going to get hurt. And it was very close to that happening. In fact, someone was arrested for simple battery outside of the home. So people were getting locked up left and right outside the house. People were screaming all type of things. And the scene outside of Quinton's was crazy. And a lot of updates within the case had to do with a lot of the craziness outside of the home. But as far as the investigation and the search for Quinton goes, we have no answers. We have no new information. In fact, a storm is rolling into the Savannah area, and they had to shut down the search for Quinton within the landfill. And I can only imagine that if this storm is bad, then it's going to make conditions even worse at the landfill, and it's going to make it even harder for them to find Quinton. So, it's hard for me even to make a video about Quinton right now without seeming and sounding extremely discouraged about the situation, because in all honesty, I am. Now, while the drama seems to have died off a little bit surrounding this case, especially outside the house, Billie Joe has still been going on YouTube on various live streams, and I don't know how to feel about it. Because on one hand, you can say that people outside of the house, they're taking advantage of this situation for views or whatever you want to accuse them of. But I feel like some, not necessarily all the people interacting with Billie Joe, I saw one person that was on a panel with Billie Joe who I actually like. So I don't want you to think that my comments are directed at everyone or anyone in particular, but I do see how Billie Joe can be taken advantage of too for content. Like, hey, Billie Joe, come on my channel and I will use basically your despair for views. And it's been hard to watch Billie Joe go on these live streams because she is breaking down and melting down in front of everyone's face. And I don't know if it's good for her or if it's good for her case or anything. In fact, I don't see how it helps her that much, but I also understand that it seems like, at least for someone in Billie Joe's shoes, that the world is against you and you try to seek allies wherever you can. I just don't know if people are taking advantage of Billie Joe or if they really care about Billie Joe. But I don't think it's a good look for Billie Joe to be on these live streams saying some of the things that she has said, like this right here that we are about to listen to. I want you all to listen to this snippet from one of the live streams that Billie Joe was on.
And you gotta keep praying.
But how does God give me two murderers? How? How does God do that to me? How? I'm not supposed to be bad.
Okay, well, you know what? The first one was an axe of fucking deity. You know it. Billie Joe, don't you dare. Don't you dare. This one...
Hey, it's all about the headlines, Beth. You think anybody...
Now, what Billie Joe just said did not come as a surprise to me. I see people sharing it all over social media, so surprised by those comments, but I think that's just kind of obvious. I think that Billie Joe, in her heart, she knows what we're dealing with here, just like we all know what we're dealing with here. So hearing her say that she raised two murderers, that's not shocking because we all basically assume that Leilani did this. In fact, it's getting harder to believe that anyone else had anything to do with this. You know what I mean? So Hearing her say that, it doesn't come as a shock to me. Although I know that it will come as a shock to some. And I know people will hear this and be like, oh, look, Billie Joe just admitted it. Billie Joe admitted that she knows that Leilani killed Quinton, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think she knows in her heart, like we all know, but she doesn't necessarily have an admission from Leilani. Like, I don't know the family dynamic going on there, but I'm not sure if Leilani, out of her own mouth with her own words, told her mother, Billie Joe, that she did whatever she did to Quinton. I'm thinking that maybe she's still denying it even to her own family. So when Billie Joe says, I raised 2 murderers, I think she's just speaking from her heart, basically on what she knows in her heart, as opposed to what she knows for a fact that someone told her. So I think it's important to really analyze how everything went down there, because I don't think this is an necessarily, and I'm not trying to be easy on Billie Joe at all, but I don't think this is necessarily an admission that Billie Joe knows for a fact what happened to Quinton. I think it's just Billie Joe being honest and real with herself, like we've all been honest and real about the situation from the get-go, that it looks like, yes, Billie Joe raised 2 murderers. Now, even though I have a lot of negative feelings towards Billie Joe, there's no denying the fact that this Quinton Simon case turned into what I would call, and the only way I can describe it, is like a modern day witch hunt. That's what it started seeming like to me. Don't get me wrong. Yes, it looks like Leilani is guilty. No, I don't necessarily sympathize with these people, at least on like an extreme level. But it turned into what I would call a witch hunt. You know, people outside yelling obscenities while throwing freaking eggs at the house and stuff. It reminded me of something that would happen in the 1600s, not something that would happen in this day and age. So I understand that Billie Joe is backed up into a wall right now. And honestly, regardless of how negatively I feel about Leilani, regardless of how I feel about Billie Joe, I'm still a human, and I don't like seeing someone break down emotionally on camera, and especially on YouTube. So I don't know. I just think Billie Joe, maybe it would be best for her to take a step back from YouTube. Don't watch YouTube and don't appear on YouTube. Because these clips that people are getting of you breaking down and yelling and crying and stuff, it's not a good look for you. I don't see how it's helping you at all. I mean, maybe it garnishes some sympathy, but all of that is negated when there's comments like, oh, I raised 2 murderers. Now that's going to make people go even harder against you. And I don't know if a lot of the people who are platforming you really give 2 shits about you at all. I think it's mainly for their personal gain, for their channels. Although, like I said, I do not have a problem with every person who's ever appeared on a panel with Billie Joe, but there is one channel in particular that seems to platform Billie Joe a lot, and I know this person is not doing it from a point of really caring. It's just for their own personal gain, and they've done things like this in the past, and they're another one of those people that sided with the conspiracies that Ryan Upchurch made, so I know they don't care about victims, they care about clicks and drama, and they're getting their fair share of clicks and drama from having Billie Joe come on their channel and have these emotional breakdowns in front of the whole entire world. And I'm someone who doesn't like Billie Joe like that. I don't know her, but I've been calling her out in my videos, and even I feel bad seeing her break down in these videos, and it makes me feel even worse because I know that she's being taken advantage of, and she probably doesn't even know it. So all in all, I wouldn't say this is a major update, but this is words coming out of Billie Joe's mouth about her raising 2 murderers, which would lead you to believe that Leilani is guilty. But I don't think that necessarily Billie Joe knows this information and that Leilani told her. I don't necessarily think that. I think Billie Joe is dealing with her own emotional problems, which I'm sure she is from dealing with this crazy traumatic situation. So all in all, I don't know what's going to come out of this. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. For now, there seems to be a period of peace. You know, there's no search happening. There's no people yelling outside the home. There's no emotional breakdowns on YouTube. So hopefully you know, we could keep that up for a couple of days and then they, you know, start their search back Monday and hopefully something is found. But right now, it is not looking good at all. At all. But I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.